it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins. Grow your coins, you gotta grow your coins. Grow your coins, grow your coins.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow, and we are live again today. It's Tuesday. Wow, caught one early. What's going on, Dave? There's a bunch of stuff. I'm actually a little prepared today, believe it or not, even though I've been working on my setup here. I've been debating on whether I should just leave this like this. Very simple, just kind of it is what it is. Or I've got this ginormous green screen over here. You can kind of see the hue of it reflecting off of the little bookshelf. I was thinking of putting that behind me and then like running, digital backgrounds or something. I don't know. I don't know how much you guys give a shit. So I'm just kind of letting you know like what the options are. What do you prefer to see? Maybe you prefer seeing me as like a fox or something with like a weird outfit. I don't know. But anyway, I always enjoy your feedback. I do have a sponsored segment today that I'm going to share, believe it or not, about WChain, because they've actually supported my channel. I'm like, holy cow. And I'm very grateful for that. So we're going to touch on them a little later. But they've been making huge advancements in what they're doing in terms of Cardano and being able to swap very easily into Cardano through like over 40 different blockchains. So, I mean, they're connected to like over 40 different blockchains. They've been around like 7 years, no downtime. I mean, they've been pretty solid. And I mean, let's be real about it. They've been a pretty strong staple in the crypto community for at least 7 years. So, yeah, I was very grateful that Crypto Chef like reached out. He's like, yo, WChain wants to sponsor a segment on the channel. And I'm like, let's do it. So we're going to cover that later. Before I get into some of the news and what's going on today, I'm going to get into price action, Cardano price action, some Bitcoin price action, kind of where we're at, what's expected. But the first thing I kind of touched on this yesterday, and a lot of that was basically kind of where we are in the overall macro of things. And, I was making these notes, and I'm just going to read from my notes here because I've got like little 5 stages of the crypto cycles, right? And I don't mean the price action of the crypto cycles. I'm talking about the world overall as it pertains to crypto. Number 1 on my list was they fight it. Right? What we have right now and what we've seen is basically like the old guard, the TradFi financial system, traditional finance. Basically, talking against you. If you remember, I think it was JP Diamond was like, any of my employees that are caught with Bitcoin are going to be fired immediately. And, just basically everybody trying to create all these narratives. Everything in crypto is narrative driven. Okay, the majority of us have learned that by now. If we've been in the space long enough, everything is a narrative. Most of those narratives are bullshit. Let's be real about it. Because these narratives typically spawn speculation, and the speculation is what drives the markets. And the one thing that we saw early on was TradFi was shitting all over crypto. And in the midst of that, we were under the regime of administrations that were also trying to thwart the expansion, development, the inner functioning of the crypto market. One of the big projects, and I've touched base with him. He sent me messages on X, but there's a project that I actually want to go back into. I haven't had the chance to, but Dragon Chain. How many of you guys remember Dragon Chain? Because back in the day, everybody was all about Dragon Chain, and they had to spend so much of the capital that they had generated just fighting the SEC and what ultimately it seemed like a bullshit case, kind of like what they did with XRP, so many other projects. And they had to basically drain their accounts fighting themselves or fighting the SEC on claims like, oh, this is a security and you're doing this and you're doing that. And it's a shame that we've had to suffer through that phase of where we're at. And I would actually like to see Dragon Chain kind of make some sort of comeback if it's even possible. I don't know. I want to have the CEO on at some point in the not so distant future and kind of talk about that experience. Let me know in the comments if that interests you, because I would love to see the Trump administration and the current SEC and just how can we make right? How can we help some of these projects that were so dramatically affected by the actions of what I would consider a nefarious few in control of a lot of the strings associated with like Operation Choke Point 2.0, the SEC, like all of the stuff that's happened. How do we help make some of these projects that actually had legs and were actually building and doing really cool things? How do we help them get back on their feet? I would like to see some talk about that from the current administration, because that was so wide breadth and so many projects were affected in really bad ways. And I think we need to figure out a way to remedy some of that. That's my personal opinion. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, I want to have Joe on at some point and like talk about that experience. I think that's because if anything, I think it's a very strong testament to what we went through compared to where we are now. And, you know, after fighting it, right, then we had prepare for it. You know, while they were fighting it, and while a lot of these people were saying, oh, crypto's bad because of XYZ, and everyone on the left they were just regurgitating. What they do is they create these talking points and then they all repeat it ad nauseum, right? They don't really know what they're saying. They're just saying whatever they're told to say by whoever's paying them. Like, it's all just a bunch of BS, man. Like, it's all silly. But while they were all projecting these narratives on everybody, they were all preparing for it. They all knew it was coming, right? They all knew. And so you had a lot of them were establishing their investment vehicles, their trading desks, all of this stuff under the radar, while they're all basically just taking a dump on it. And so, you know, that was the next stage. Then number 3 was adopt it, right? So they're building their trading desks, they're creating everything they need for their new investment vehicles and all of that. And that's basically where we were there. And then they control it. And I think that's ultimately the phase we're in now. Okay. And, you know, a lot of us are noticing the way this market cycle is very different from previous cycles, right? Because previous cycles have been controlled by retail. I mean, and even that I think is not necessarily true. I think that there was a lot more under the like behind the scenes, under the radar manipulation and control of the market as they were laying the foundations for where they're kind of at now. And so I think that there's something to be said about where we were in the last market cycle. I don't believe that the 2 peaks we had in the 2021 market cycle were natural retail speculation. I don't, especially given how it lined up exactly to like the NASDAQ charts of 2007. Because if you remember, when I called the market peak and I said it was going to be a 2 peak cycle, and then of course at the end, like I always say, but I could be wrong, you know, it was on April 13th. I was like, the market just peaked, but this could be a 2 peak cycle. It'll probably come back up and we'll have a second peak. I could be wrong. Some of you guys remember that on Twitter. It's still there. I believed that because of the way everything lined up almost identically to the NASDAQ starting in 2007. And then following up on that, I said, if this becomes a thing, which we are now a part of that thing, the institutional control of where we're at in the overall space, it is likely that we no longer have these 4-year cycles and we start moving into what ultimately amounted to like a 10-year run up in the NASDAQ. And so, and I say that too, if you see all of the institutional involvement that we have now in the crypto space, that everybody's like, oh, we got to have the institutions if we want to keep going higher. Yeah, that's probably true. The other side to that, though, is we have like what I would consider micro volatility in the space now. We're not going to have these big, 40, 50, 60% drops and rises in crypto's price. And so we're not going to have a lot of that crazy volatility most of us know, because it's too risky. They can't do that. They can't establish all of these new investment vehicles that are controlled by institutions that they're trying to basically profit from by means of the retail market, right? The moms, the pops, the retirement accounts, all of this stuff, right? We're trying to establish a transition out of TradFi into the blockchain space. Larry Fink of BlackRock has been talking about this now for years, basically saying like there's going to be a day where everything is on the blockchain and we're going to see the tokenization of all assets. That is literally starting to happen right now. And I find it interesting. I always, a lot of people, we're all so divided politically, right? Everybody, everywhere you look, you've got the left that are crying and screaming on TikTok about whatever they can make up that day. And then you've got the right that are always basically saying, you guys are all so crazy. How could I ever trust anything? Look at everything you guys were telling us here and look at the outcome of that. Like, how do you guys not wake up? And we're seeing all this, just this constant division, right? But I find it very interesting that those on the left have been adamantly against crypto, blockchain, all of that, based on all of the media narratives for years now, ultimately perpetuated by like a lot of the left-wing politicians, Biden and Pocahontas. I always forget her name, Elizabeth. Her name always slips me. She's just she's so forgettable. But anyway, but then on the same foot, you have like Mr. King Lefty himself, Larry Fink, who's like, ESG and basically all of the program, DEI or DEI, all of this stuff, man. Like, it's like I can't even keep them all straight in my head. But he's basically like the guy that lit the match to start the fire of all of these programs all over the world. That's basically causing, this whole like go woke, go broke narrative. Like, that's him. That's like that's him. BlackRock has controlling interest in like 90% of the country or the companies in America and abroad. I think even that could be mistaken. It might just be the US. But you've got this narrative playing out on the lower realm of things, and then you've got this guy who basically is like the puppet master for so much, basically saying, oh, but we're all going to transition out of TradFi and we're going to tokenize all assets. And, right. And who's, it's like, what is Aladdin, right? It's like, you look at Aladdin, this high powered algorithmic system that he created after losing a bunch of money back in the day. And then he came back with this like predictive system that's ultimately controlling markets, and all of these other corporations across the world are basically paying him to have access to it, right? So the entire financial system in a way is already set up on an algorithmic system. What better than to have a lot of this tokenized, controlled, monitored? Elizabeth Warren, thank you, Megatron. What better way than to have all of this stuff structured on blockchain that's traceable, trackable, the whole nine, right? We've basically had this narrative for so long now that, blockchain is like you're invisible if you use blockchain. It's untraceable. You're untrackable. No, that really is a load of bullshit. Like, let's be real about it. Like, everything is traceable and trackable, and like, there's so much down this rabbit hole. But anyway, we're in this control phase now where they're establishing control. Yes, it's like you've got King Lefty saying we're going to basically tokenize everything in the world. And now you've got King Righty, right? You've got Trump administration basically saying, okay, we're pro crypto. We're Gensler's gone. This person's gone. We're fighting this. We're fighting that. I'm launching my own meme coins just to show you guys it's all okay now. This is a safe space for you, crypto folks. He's got a couple of degenerates that have been working with his sons with the World Liberty Fi. I mean, like, if you look up the background of a couple of those guys, I'm like, man, does Trump really not know like who some of these people are and like their history? But the reality is it's all about a pro crypto movement now, and everything is changing. And so the next level after control, which we know that they're already establishing this control, and some of that control is established through the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, right? All of these different regulatory structures that are being introduced and put into law. Then it's expanded. So once the control is established, then you have to expand the narrative and then and expand the use case for a lot of this stuff. And I think we're slowly starting to enter the expansion phase, which I believe is going to play out significantly between now and 2030. And I actually found this old document that I had from 2010. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want this video to be flagged, but let's just say that this document breaks down everything that's happened since like 2020, okay, in detail. And it was all written in 2010, put out by a very, very, very popular, very famous foundation. And, you know, most people don't even know this exists. It's difficult to find nowadays, but I'm like, I want to go back and read through some of that and see like where we are now. Cause I know one of them was Lockstep, which is basically this whole thing was, it was like a simulation broken down in 2010, mind you. And it broke down like the four phases of a new beginning, right? One of them that was Lockstep, which was the jab. And that was all broken down. And then it goes into like cyber warfare, cyber this, cyber that. And I'm not even sure where we are in that phase. And then the other one was better together. And I wanted to go back and read this document and find out, because I don't remember what all it said about better together, but it was ultimately like, well, we're all going to coexist. We're all going to be a part of the same structure together. And a part of me wonders if that's a part of the overall agenda associated with like immigration and allow, you know, everybody's coming in from this place and that place, from into this country and that country. I don't remember specifically if that was part of the overall plan or the narrative of like better together, but I needed to go back and read it and find out, because there's definitely a major plan associated with everything that's been transpiring now for years. Crypto is obviously a part of it. And a lot of these people, I believe, either feign ignorance to it or they are controlled opposition to different elements of this based on timing and where everyone else is in the overall picture of the game. And that's basically where I think we're at. And when I look at some of the news and some of the things that's happening right now, Trump's has a crypto plan for Gaza. I found this interesting. Trump's post-war Gaza plan proposes giving residents $5,000 and digital tokens for land rights, according to the Washington Post. Now, I don't know how legitimate this is. It's Washington Post. I mean, you know, read at your own risk. This was originally dated August 31st. A post-war reconstruction proposal for Gaza under President Donald Trump's administration includes the use of digital tokens to represent land ownership alongside cash payments for displaced residents, according to the Washington Post. I find this very, very interesting because this could very well be true. I don't know. I didn't do any deep dives in it. I just saw I just saw it and I thought, well, this is kind of interesting because I haven't heard this anywhere. I haven't heard anything about this anywhere. Alongside the digital tokens, residents who leave would receive $5,000 in cash, 4 years of rent subsidies, and 1 year of food, the report said. I mean, that's interesting. Well, we're going to take care of your rent for 4 years, but after the first year, you got to learn to hunt rabbits. The payments are designed to ease the transition period while relocation takes place. So I found that interesting, but it's like, what the hell is going on out there? I'm like, I don't know if you guys can hear. I'm hearing all kinds of slamming and banging, and it sounds like a war is breaking out in the living room. All right, so here's some other news. Cardano reached all-time high on this date 4 years ago. According to CoinGecko data, Cardano remains up 148% on a 1 year basis, despite an earlier drop at September's start. Cardano community focused on the X account Cardanians highlighted this price increase in a recent tweet, noting that ADA is surpassing Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, BNB, and Doge on a yearly basis performance. Now, this is obviously this is a big, I don't know what word you want to look or what how you want to put this. Like I just saw Charles recently posted. I'm assuming it was a screenshot from like Grok 4 or Chat GPT, kind of breaking down how basically Cardano has been like the biggest percentage gain winner over the past year against Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. And that's obviously very true. But the question is like, where do we go from here? And what is the overall outcome? When does Cardano break all-time highs? And ultimately, I mean, I think that time is coming, and it may very well happen this month. We'll see. I'm not quite sure. I'm still a little, we're going to look at some of the charts here in just a second and see if we can't gauge a little bit about what's happening. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I think we're in a rise 1 right now and out of a 3 rise. So we're going to look at some of that. But I think ultimately I do believe wholeheartedly that Cardano is going to break all-time highs. And it's really a matter of when. I think some of that plays out after Ethereum breaks its original all-time high, which it has recently. And everybody is looking at this market and thinking to themselves, well, what's going on? Why is everything taking so long? Well, there's a lot of stuff happening. Crypto analyst sees Cardano price surging to $1.20 as ADA ETF odds near 90%. Now, this is how this stuff works. When I see articles like this, we've been seeing articles talking about Cardano's price rising to $1.12, $1.20, this and that, right? Just based on sheer TA. Now that we're getting closer to ETF decisions by the SEC, I think next month is like the final date where they have to decide if they're going to allow this or not. I also find that very, very interesting in terms of timing. We're going to see a lot of these narratives start popping up, basically attributing price action growth of this asset or that asset as it relates to like a whole bunch of a variety of different things. But to me, it's all happening regardless. Okay, because here's something that I want to point out to you guys, because this is just how I look at it. I think a lot of this is predetermined. I really do. I believe that a lot of this is predetermined. And I say that because of a lot of what I've learned, just understanding and learning more and more about, and you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you right now, if you want to know someone who I follow religiously now, like everything this woman says, I pay attention, and that is Annie at Trade Travel Chill. And I know the name sounds a little silly. I feel like the name, for whatever reason, does not give the power of what I believe this woman's capabilities are in terms of like training, deciphering market and price action and like what's likely happening next. And here's something that I was actually thinking of doing is I'm thinking of downloading like the last, I don't know, like maybe a few months or a month worth of her videos where she's breaking down price action. And then like when she does the price action, show the chart like the day, 2 days later, how accurate was she? Because I think you're going to find that she is far more advanced than I would honestly say 95%, at least 95% of the traders on YouTube. And I don't mean any disrespect to any of them. I watch so many of them, and I have watched so many of them. And nobody nails this shit the way she does. And the thing of it is that when you understand her philosophy and the way she marks and plots and just all of the little intricacies associated with her like probabilities, we'll just call them probabilities, not necessarily projections, but probabilities and where she thinks price action is going to go and why. It all plays into the idea that these market makers are algorithmic, okay? And like B, there is definitely a time frame associated with a lot of the price action. I believe that a lot of this stuff is predetermined, but in terms of like where price goes, I think the when of this, what I associate as algorithmic predetermined price action, I think a lot of that is based on how retail reacts to what is already predetermined in the algorithm. That is what I personally believe. She's never said that specifically, but when I look at what she does, I believe that there is an algorithmic relationship between market makers and that price action and the way retail reacts to it, and then how the algorithms respond to the reaction of the retail market. That's what I think plays out. And that's why I'm so fascinated and why I'm constantly learning, experimenting, and so forth. And I've never seen anybody like Annie. And not only Annie, but like Casper, and then there's a whole crew, like the cabin crew in her Discord. I mean, all of them are great. Even some of the I wish there was a way, but it's like, you know, to join her course, I think it's cheap as hell, man. I think it's like $85 or something a month. That is like the cheapest trading education you're going to get from somebody that's actually legit. I have seen so many courses where these buffoons are charging thousands of dollars to access some bullshit course, and they're all just repeating each other, and it's all based on this like, oh, ICT. Listen, I'm not saying that there's not any credibility to ICT or SMC or any of this stuff. But I think that like there are way too many grifters in the space trying to present themselves as better traders than they are, but somehow they all get the most credit and the biggest viewerships. I don't understand it. Folks, you guys have to stop being so retarded. I'm sorry. I don't know what other word to like use but there are so many people that just chase money and they chase the dream. You guys chase all this dumb shit. And then you end up falling into the hands of people that just couldn't give two shits about you. And it's just like, and then they use you. And I'm like, I'm so disgusted by it. Jesus Christ, the noise out there. I guess I picked the wrong time to like try and work today. I don't know if you got Annie. Come on. Are you kidding me? You don't know Annie, Trade Travel Chill for real? So anyway, I don't even know. This is like a little bit of a rant rave. So let's look at some of the price action today and see what's happening. How about that? This is one of my new favorite liquidity heat map websites out there. This is Kayotaka, and this is actually free. So if you are trying to figure out where price action is likely going to be traveling in the near to short term or near to long term, you can figure it out here. I've got a 1 hour chart here for Cardano on the right, and on the left is Bitcoin on a 15-minute candle. And this is, I stare at this pretty much all day as I'm working out like my trade patterns and execution and where I think things are going. And I'm actually, I think the easiest way to like for newcomers that aren't really familiar with a lot of this stuff, like you see a lot of these lines and a lot of like just, it looks like vomit of colors, right? Nobody can hear what but me. Hold on a minute. No one can hear it but you, Crow. Sound is good. Nobody can hear what? I haven't played anything. Is my audio weird or something? Yeah, don't waste your money following YouTube experts. Exactly. Oh, the sound in the other room. Okay. All right, good. Because it throws me off so much that I like generally if my environment is not super, super quiet, I start wigging out and I'm like, I can't. There's just too much I've got going on multiple screens to focus. So, all right. So good. At least I know that you guys aren't messed up by it. Audio is good on here. Audio is fine. All right. Awesome. Okay. So what I want to do is I want you to look at this here and I want you to consider this a surfer. Okay. This little line here, I want you to look at that as like a surfer. And that surfer, in order to get momentum and movement through the ocean, there has to be waves. And the bigger the wave, the more momentum that surfer is able to achieve to move through the ocean, right? And I was thinking about this today because I'm slowly writing a book to help people learning to trade. And it's kind of based off of what I'm learning and what I'm achieving and what I'm doing, pros and cons, mistakes, and all kinds of stuff. And then a lot of that I'm turning into like exclusive content at cryptocrow.io as well. But anyway, if you look at these yellow lines, these are the highest concentrations of short and long orders, okay, leverage orders. And basically like the yellow lines to the top are shorts and their liquidation values, okay? So we're like right here, there's 215, there's like 265 here. And if I go up a little bit more, this little thinner line, that's 332, 336. These are people to be liquidated at the price target. So this is like 111,534. So if the price moves up, these people get liquidated. The market makers make money. The price goes down, then, if the price gets down to around 110,000, you've got, a small number, 171 orders that are going to get liquidated here. And this is all on Binance, right? So, and you can basically see where these move. So, the closer the lines are to the price action, basically the higher the leverage the traders are using for their positions. And so generally you'll see the price go up, it'll swing up, you'll get a big wick, it'll wipe out everybody here, and then that empowers the momentum of that surfer to basically go up and grab some more, and then it comes down, and then that's basically how price action moves. And that price action is handled basically by the market makers moving the price. And you'll notice that there are a lot of patterns associated with this, which is why I believe a lot of this is algorithmic. There are people who run high frequency trading, like high frequency algorithmic trading bots to move markets. There are firms that do this. You can hire these firms if you're trying to launch your own project. And the thing of it is that I see a lot of questions oftentimes about how does everything in the market move at the same time? Like Bitcoin moves and all the alts move, right? And I've explained this before, but let's say that like Binance, right? Binance, one of the biggest exchanges out there. Binance pretty much has about every token in existence, right? I mean, it doesn't, but you know what I'm saying? Like Binance generally has the majority of the tokens out there. Well, what happens is that you can have one primary exchange moving the price action of a lot of this stuff, and it's all algorithmic. So if it's all algorithmic and Bitcoin leads the charge here, and then a lot of that spills into what happens in the altcoin market, and it's high frequency, high speed algorithmic trading that's happening across the board, following this algorithm that's basically set and established based on price action of every one of these assets. You do that once across one exchange, then the liquidity pipelines that are basically being sold to all the other exchanges out there, they're probably, I mean, I don't know 100%, but I'm going to say Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, likely, maybe Gemini, I'm not sure. You have a number of like key master exchanges out in the world that are basically doing the bulk of this, and then they sell these liquidity pipelines to smaller exchanges. So these smaller exchanges that don't yet have the volume to move the prices on their own, but they want to maintain a competitive market so that people can use them on this exchange and there not be like arbitrage issues from one exchange to the other, right? They pay a tiny little fraction of their fees to the liquidity pool provider, which would be Binance or Coinbase or whatever. So that's how so much is able to move in the market at around the same time. It's all a big web. So that's how that works. Now let's look at Bitcoin's price right here. Looking at Bitcoin, we're currently trading at 110, almost 111,000. It's up a bit from a low of 109,000. I think that was during Asia. So yeah, no, that was the UK. So the UK basically pushed the price all the way down to a low before ultimately this morning in the US market open started pushing the price up. So pre-market started moving Bitcoin's price to the upside. And then you can see here at 9:30, I was watching these candles play out at 9:30 because generally what I do is I draw a box. And I at 9:30 on the nose, I basically draw a box around that 9:30 to 9:45 candle. And from 9:45, that 15-minute candle, if it breaks the upside of the previous box, then the trend is likely going to be up. If it breaks the trend to the downside, then the trend is likely going to be down. And as you can see, that second candle broke to the upside out of that initial opening market open box. And we moved up quite a bit. We basically broke out to about 111.8, and now we're getting a little bit of a correction. If you were to look at this on a grander scale, I mean, this is a 15-minute candle, right? But we broke through the 50% Asia, the high of the day. We broke through all of that, and now we're just kind of consolidating. I'm going to hazard a guess and say that we're going to get another leg up, another series of consolidation, probably into Tuesday. And then the question is do we break out and above the high of the week at around 113,737? If we do that, because there's a chance we could go sideways a bit, but I'm going to assume that, given where the market's at, we could have another third rise out. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I'm struggling to find the W formation on this 15-minute chart, and I haven't seen it yet anywhere, but this could be the left side. Now, typically when I'm looking for a W, what we're looking for is a basically a strong vector candle followed by basically a stopping volume candle, which we have here. We don't really have it here, I guess. I don't know. I would have to consult with Annie and find out what Annie has to say. I don't know. But we could say, well, this is a potential W with the first rise. So this would be a rise 1 of 3. And then we get our consolidation before we get another rise, a little bit of a consolidation, and then a rise 3, maybe somewhere around 116,000. Then maybe we get a little bit of a correction, and then we start moving back up towards new all-time highs. I'm not sold on this yet. I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate or how accurate it is. But if I want to look at Market Cipher, which I have started using this again a little bit, you can see we got this nice big fat green dot down here at the bottom of the money flow. And that basically created this huge rise here, this very solid spike. And then we got another green dot here basically saying, yeah, we're going to continue going. I think this may be a W. This is either going to be a confirmed W here, or this W pattern is ultimately going to be here. And for me, it makes more sense that this would be the left side of the W, and that we're basically pulling in, and we could get a little bit more of a correction here, down to probably the strong yellow line here is the VWAP. I don't think that's going to hold. I think we could potentially break down into the 50% Asia and maybe bounce off of that in the evening, and then basically get confirmation of that W. That's what I think may very well play out. I don't know, but we'll see. Okay, I'm still learning a lot of this stuff, so we'll see. Now, if we're looking at Cardano, obviously we've got a lot happening here on Cardano. This here on the bottom right is the 4-hour chart. Oh boy, we did break down below this here, right? And I would have expected to see a break to the upside. Now this is on the 4-hour, so we're gonna have to wait and see. It's very difficult to see because I've got a lot of stuff going on, and typically my monitor is much bigger. But you can see there's a lot of bearish order book flow here that we want to get rid of, and we're kind of chopping into that. It's not too late. I think we could still break out of this to the upside, but we'll see. Maybe we go a little bit lower first. We came all the way down to 78 cents before we settled up here. So I think it's likely we could be moving to the upside sooner than later. But I also don't know if we are going to continue moving lower with Bitcoin. Are we going to break down to lower than $100,000 with Bitcoin? I honestly don't know. I don't think so. Given where everything's at and where all the liquidity is, I just don't see that happening. I do believe overall September is going to close green. I think September is going to be a bullish month. Why? Because I think that we're heading into what would ultimately be the peak of the Bitcoin cycle in December. And there's a whole narrative associated with that as well. And I'm gonna touch on that, I'm sure, either today or maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper into that. But you can see Cardano here has been support. I mean, the 50% Asia mark is basically held as support for Cardano's price as we're basically moving ever so gently on a 15-minute candle back to the upside. We're going to see if that holds further. If we're looking at the daily on Cardano, I mean, you can see that it's basically been trending down, but we haven't broke through this trend support yet, right? This has just been forming, and I'm using my Flux charts indicators on here. I use a little bit of everything depending on what time frame I'm looking at. There is a link in the description below if you're interested in Flux charts. I know that they're working on something for me that's going to help me and help everyone, but it's kind of complex. So we're going to see if they can pull it off, and if they do, it's going to be gangbusters, and it's going to help me a lot. With the market maker method and basically using AI to kind of identify certain points, which I'll share when we get a little closer to that. But anyway, you can see we wick down through this, and we're sitting here like currently basically right smack dab in the middle of this trend channel that's established by Flux. we'll see. Do we break to the downside even further and kind of invalidate this whole uptrend? Because that's where we've been for quite a while. This goes all the way back to July 6/22 of 2025. This was established, and here we are. So do we break down through that, establish some new local lows before we get a correction to the upside? Is this going to be a big fake out where everybody's like, oh my gosh, everything's going down even further, I'm out, the market's over? Like all the narratives start, all of the bots that are all over the internet, like they start kicking in and freaking everybody out. It gets everybody to sell, and then these types of things become like the opportunity for a lot of the institutions to continue accumulating, basically buying everything that they've just scared the shit out of you to buy. So that's that. Make sure you check out cryptocrow.io if you guys are interested in learning some more. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm always looking for feedback on content that everybody likes and appreciates on this platform. So if you're a member, make sure you post comments, let me know. You have to remind me sometimes. There was one a while back, and I started doing some of it, and then I'm like, I can't remember specifically. I need to go back and find it. I don't remember which article it was on. But let me know like what you guys are most interested generally. And if you are into trading card games, you need to make sure you go to wargroom.io. You can play it for free right now. You don't have to mint anything if you don't want to. It is an alpha. It's very early, but I know based on what I'm seeing, there are people having fun playing against each other. And slowly people are minting more and more boosters. So make sure you check it out. Minting boosters is very, very easy. And they're so far we've got about 4,936 booster packs. And I think that a lot of people are like, oh, I don't really want to use my ADA right now to like mint some cards to play a game with. I get that because like as of right now, we don't have any big cash tournaments. We don't have any real incentive. Let's be real. We don't have any real incentive yet for people to actually spend their ADA on boosters. The idea ultimately is that as you build decks and the more momentum we get and the more development we're able to put in, which is basically funded by these boosters, I've seen some people that are getting like hundreds of thousands of ADA just to like basically do what we've all been doing for free for years. And I'm like, oh, wow. I really should be greedier or a little like, I don't know. I should have just did what I originally thought. And like, here's a treasury proposal. I'm going to vote on it. I've been working since 2017. I'm one of the biggest proponents of Cardano since day one. I deserve to get my game funded, but I didn't do it. I'm too much of a purist, I think. And I've had people my whole life telling me that I was stupid for being a certain way. It is what it is, but we're funding the game based on the booster packs. The more we sell, the more we can do, the sooner we can start getting into some real tournament activity. So if you appreciate what I'm doing here, just get yourself some boosters and have some fun. Eventually, I will have a sponsored segment about Mevalaxy. We're going to be talking about that. I mean, when I see the name initially, I'm thinking of like a fiber supplement or something. I'm not going to lie. But this is, we're going to be doing a segment on them, and we're going to be covering this. We'll just say that it's not today, but we are going to cover it. And today's video sponsor is in fact WChain. So there are a lot of notes and a lot of different things that I'm going to cover. Everybody knows WChain. I don't know what's happening with my nose right now. I'm like, I am a little under the weather. I think my daughter got my wife and I a little sick. Connected to 47 different networks. Cross-chain volume is $1.6 billion. Burned WAN tokens, 961,863. And basically over 7 years, almost 8 years of uninterrupted uptime with WChain. And it's funny because WChain was such a huge deal back in 2017. And then it just kind of seemed like the narrative associated with it kind of faded out a little bit, even though they've been one of the most active builders in blockchain all this time. And it's like everybody is all about the new. Everybody wants to get like, I want to get the next like quarter fraction of a penny token that's going to go to $50. Like everybody's constantly chasing these narratives, man, and it's all perpetuated by paid marketing. And it's like WChain could have been doing a lot of this stuff, but they haven't. They've been building. this is the first time they've ever came to me and said, hey, we want to sponsor Crow's channel. And so I'm like, man, that's awesome. So I've got some notes and some other things that I want to share. This is one thing. This basically shows you all of the different asset routes from Cardano. Okay. So you've got Cardano to Arbitrum, Avalanche, Astor. Some of these I've never even heard of. BNB Chain, Base, of course, Bitcoin, Stelo, Ethereum, Optimism, Polygon, Tron, and WChain. And then you've got all of these different asset pairs and things associated with basically your ability to easily swap in and out of ADA and any of these other assets for that matter. So I would definitely encourage you to try it, check it out at the very least. If you're looking for basically a decentralized way to get in and out of a position without having to go through a centralized exchange. Like I know Charles Oskinson comments often that he basically does not like centralized exchanges. Like what's the point of basically giving your tokens to a centralized individual or company and then trusting they're going to give it back to you? And I do agree with that to a large extent, but we're in the land of like comfort, right? In a lot of cases, for most people, especially that are new to the crypto space, they want something that's easy. Well, listen, it doesn't get much easier than this. You connect your wallet, you say, I have this token, whatever that is, right? I want this token, whatever that is, and then you click swap, and that's it. It's really that simple. I don't have this connected right now, but that's how easy it is. And the higher the volume of these assets, you're not going to suffer as much slippage. Typically, you know, when you suffer major slippage on a DEX, it's because you're trying to degen into some degen token, okay, with very, very low volume, very low liquidity. You know what? I'm so tired of the term liquidity. I just want to call it liquid. I just want to start calling it liquid from now on. But anyway, that's very, very easy to do. And you can see here, this is the WChain, and these links are available in the link below. And this is an explorer basically that shows you everything that's happening with WChain, their uptime. There's just so much, man. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. They recently celebrated the second anniversary of WChain's Cardano bridge. So, I mean, you know, a little late to the game there, WChain. No, I'm just kidding. Better late than never. But a 2-year anniversary. Let's see. Buy ADA from 10 different chains. These are some of the notes that I have here for those of you that are interested. If you're wanting to buy ADA in just one click in a decentralized way, you can do that from across 10 different blockchains right now. I'm actually curious if WChain is going to be playing any major roles in like Bitcoin DeFi, that sort of thing. Like I don't have any notes here that are explaining that specifically, or if there's anything like that, but I'd be very interested to know. So yeah, man, thank you, WChain. And if you're looking for basically an easy way to get in and out of Cardano and like 47 different blockchains, this is probably your safest way to go. I mean, WChain is basically a staple of the crypto community and has been now for almost 8 years. So, you know, there are always going to be a lot of like smaller ones that pop up here and there, like Use Us. But I think WChain is definitely, and sponsorship aside, they've obviously earned the respect of pretty much everybody in the crypto space. So check the links down in the description below if you need to make some swaps for any reason. And that be that. Let me check out comments here real quick, see if there's anything that I need to address. About 800 of you sitting there watching live. Let me know in the comments too if there's anything specifically you'd like me to cover. I know I've been away now for weeks and I'm just starting to come back. I mean, everything is still in disarray, and I've just, you know, we're basically, I mean, our goal is to just basically live cheap and travel and try to figure out where we want to be. Like, where do we want to build? Where do we want to be? And that's basically what we've been doing, man. And like everybody loves it. So I'm like, all right, I've got my little my little production cave here. It's much, much, much smaller, obviously, than I'm used to. I feel like I live in a little box, but you know, it is what it is. Leave the background as is. Okay, so you guys just like the bookshelf, the little picture back there, and then one of my monitors. I have 4 monitors like lining this whole side of the room, actually. ADA only has 1 ETF. Actually, no, I think there's like 2 or 3. I know there's more than one for sure. You should ask Grok, it'll tell you. Personally, I don't personally want any ETFs for Cardano because I know they're going to be used to establish more control over the decentralized nature of governance. And I just don't really want some of these people basically using retail money to buy control for themselves to be able to vote for certain things that are just going to benefit them. But that's the name of the game, and that's what people are going to do. So unfortunately, that's the case. I think I'm going to cover WChain more in the future. As a matter of fact, I'm actually really grateful that they supported my channel, and I want to cover some of the more different things. I want to cover some more stuff at the very beginning of some of my videos in the future without them having to do anything. So I think sick of influencers lying, misrepresenting facts about Cardano. Yeah, I mean, it's like a plague. And the thing that you have to understand is that, like, obviously people from other chains, they make so much money pumping bullshit chains, man. They don't care. They don't care about their viewership whatsoever. All they care about is how many people they can get to watch them, how much they can make from those people watching them, and they have absolutely no integrity whatsoever. I was just chatting with Annie this morning about one in particular, and I'm like, every time I watch this guy, he makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm just like, just a snake, just a snake. And I'm like, you know, I'm actually surprised some of these people show their faces in like public gatherings and not get the shit kicked out of them. Like, honestly, I'm like shocked that that's a thing. Because if I were some of these folks, I'd be scared to death to like walk around anywhere. They're just dirt balls, man. And I'm not going to name names or anything. It's just some of these people are dastardly. And at the same time, they have pretty large followings. And, you know, people are just dumb. They just have no clue. Like, they have no clue that they're just being played every single day. But yeah, no one can hear it. Oh, okay, that was talking about the noise earlier. Annie is pretty badass. Love her channel. Yeah, I mean, she's phenomenal. And I know I can't do a video without mentioning her. It's just she's helped me so much. Learning Annie in a spider outfit. No, that was La Petite Ada on Twitter, actually. I don't think I've ever seen Annie wear a spider outfit. So, and I think you're talking about like Spider-Man. And if she did, I missed it. I don't know. I've never seen her do that. Agree. Don't waste your money following YouTube experts. Yeah, I even tell you guys all the time, like, don't do what I say either. Like, I'm just some dude that I spend so much time constantly trying to learn new things and trying to understand the world. I'm just some fucking old dude on the YouTubes, man. I don't, you know what I mean? I know I'm an OG, and I know I've been around a long time, and I know I have the respect of a lot of other YouTubers and things, but that's not because I'm like the most all-knowing. It's because I'm the most straight up. Like, I don't bullshit people. Like, I'm not a grifter. I'm not trying to, like, you know, sell my soul. I'm not trying to screw anybody. I am what I am. You know, I'm right a lot. I'm always right sometimes, as I always say. But there are a lot of people out there, man. They'll take you for everything, and they're disgusting, and they have no guilt, really. You can just tell. A lot of these folks, they have no guilt whatsoever, man. All they care about is themselves. Like, the narcissistic nature of the majority of people in the crypto space is mind-blowing. But anyway, it is what it is, man. Even that extra $100 a month in Bitcoin over 15 years will be huge for your retirement starting at these prices. I'm not sure what we're referring to. Green screen with you as Mr. Blobby. I don't know who Mr. Blobby is, but let's see. Question. How much stock do you put into crypto personalities like Crypto Mask? You mean Crypto Face? Is saying we will see a 20% drop in Bitcoin after this recent cross on the support band. Listen, I love Crypto Face. Jeff and I have been friends for a long time, and I know that he'll trade millions of dollars worth of crypto live on his channel, and he's legit. He does. He's just crazy enough. I know he does very well. I know that he's like a silent investor in a lot more shit in crypto than you guys have probably heard of. Like he's great and he's a businessman. But I'm also aware that like he's wrong sometimes. I saw one thing where he was talking about how like he was on tilt in a big trade and he was like super pissed. And you know, it's just like, you know, we're all human beings, right? Do I put a lot of stake in him saying there's going to be a 20% drop, blah, blah, blah? Anything is possible. Everything in crypto on the retail end of things is a game of probability. Nothing is 100%. So, you know, it's like I believe wholeheartedly, and I've shown in charts a million different ways, like where I think the crypto price is, the way the cycles are flowing, the way things are changing and all of that. But anything can change on a dime tomorrow. Like Trump could come out with some new announcement that like, you know, oh, you know, this fell through or we're adding that and it's going to change the world for the better. Like, who knows, man? Like anything can happen on any time, any day. And everything in crypto is ran on narrative. So while we can hazard an educated guess on what we expect to happen, it's impossible to be right about everything all the time. So that's just what you have to understand. I think really there's a big difference between a genuine assessment of probabilities and what we may think could happen. And by genuine, I mean, it's not bought, paid for, you know, like I'm not telling you that, you know, this asset that's like dropping in mass is basically like better than everything else, even though everything out there like proves the opposite of that. Because I'm getting like a fat check, you know, every month from like this group or that group that represents this chain or that chain, you know, like there's genuine sentiment based on probability and reality of the market. And then there are grifters out there who are just trying to be relevant at all costs and do anything and say anything because it's profitable. And that's where I basically draw the line. So trading is so hard. I'm telling you right now, Seth, I you know what I'm doing. Like I every single day, man, I wake up, I'm in Trade Travel Chill. I'm in their Discord. I'm engaging everybody. I'm watching videos and the courses and taking notes. I've got so many notebooks of all the notes that I've taken. I've printed out every chart so that I'm studying there's so much. But yeah, it is hard because if it wasn't hard, no, like everybody would be millionaires doing it, right? I mean, that's just the reality. And I will say the one thing that I've learned about trading since I've been doing it like actively now for a couple of months is it's generally not the market that's the problem and why you might lose money. It's probably you. And I don't mean like it's you because you don't know. It's you because it's very, very difficult to make educated price action determinations in a very emotion-filled environment. Because let's just be real, man. Like when you're talking about putting your money at risk, especially at leverage on a trading exchange, and you're saying, well, I think the price is going to go here or here. I don't know. And then you're putting your money at risk there and you watch it go against you. And then you start getting more and more emotional and you get caught up and then boom, and all of a sudden you're on tilt and you're freaking out. And you're like, oh, I'm going to take the loss. And that's what it is, man. I believe that understanding trading and learning a system that is proven and that works more often than it doesn't in the laws of probability is what gives you the confidence to be able to stick to your guns and not be faked out, psyched out, or mentally manipulated by the market makers or the algorithms out there that are structured around doing exactly that and causing you money. So that's that. So listen, folks, I appreciate you guys being here live with me today. We've been live an hour and I'm going to get back to work. And until next time, thank you so much. Make sure you support my sponsor, WChain. Check the links down below. And until next time, grow your coins, and I'll see you again soon.
If if it's bull or bear, I don't care. It's quite a rough ride, just like life. But I'm kinda patient, cause only time will tell. It's gonna go up, so you better stay calm.